Welcome to the Mic Locker. This week we're going to take a look at a mic that has been in constant production since 1960, the Sennheiser MD421. As we do, let's take a look at the history of the Sennheiser company and the MD421. In June of 1945, just a month after the end of World War II, Fritz Sennheiser founded a small company called Laboratorium Venabostel, or simply Lab W. He operated out of a small farmhouse near Hanover, Germany, and they started out by producing measuring equipment which was sold to Siemens. In 1946, Siemens commissioned the small company to rebuild a microphone which had been previously supplied by a company in Austria. Wonder who that could have been. This microphone was named the MD1. At the same time, Sennheiser started work on developing their own mic, the MD2, Microphone Dynamic 2, which appeared in 1947. In 1953, we saw the introduction of the MD21, a smaller handheld omnidirectional mic that was built like a tank, which many claimed was indestructible. By 1956, they were producing the MD82, their first shotgun microphone, and in 1960, the venerable MD421 was introduced to the world. The company is still going strong today and led by descendants of Fritz. Their lines of microphones, headphones, and other audio-related equipment is regarded as some of the best and most consistent in the industry. The company acquired Neumann in 1991 and has acquired a handful of other companies as well, including the Swiss corporation Merging Technologies. The MD421 is a large diaphragm cardioid dynamic microphone. The frequency response at the time of production exceeded hi-fi standards of the day and were closer to responses seen by condenser microphones. The extended response wouldn't be exceeded until the introduction of the MD441 years later in 1971. What set the 421 apart from its competition of the day was its size and the fact that it didn't have to rely on ports on the body to achieve directionality. Other microphones that were cardioid relied on body ports. Think the Electro-Voice RE20, which, if held by hand, reduced the effectiveness of the ports, causing the mic's pattern to shift. The body of the original and a number of future revisions of the 421 was made of a DuPont polyoxymethylene, which was more commonly known as Delrin. Delrin was a new polymer released to the public the same year as the MD421. DuPont claimed the polymer would hold up for decades, which, in all fairness, it did, provided the material never saw the light of the sun and was kept in a temperature and humidity-controlled environment, which is why many of the surviving original 421s have cracks running along their bodies. And while we're on the topic of the body shape led to one of the most cursed inventions in all of microphone history, the MZA. The MZA is the designation for the microphone's quick release clip, which has been abhorred by the live and studio community since its inception. These clips often fail, causing the mic to be launched forward and allowing the mic to subsequently hit the floor at the worst possible time. Simply brushing against the button will release the mic, and oh, by the way, the button design was not the only one. No, that was the fancy version. Another version didn't even have the button and relied solely on a metal tension spring to hold the mic in place. Over the years, there were a number of revisions to the microphone, so let's take a look and eventually a listen to these. First off the line was the MD421-2 and the MD421-N. The 2 was a white or gray mic with a silver grill and had a Tuchel connector. The MD421-N introduced a 5-position bass roll-off switch at the back of the mic, which helped shape the sound for use as a broadcast mic. S for speech or M for musical applications. These mics had a Klein-Tuchel connector. Next was the MD421 Deluxe, which featured a black body and gold grill, but was essentially the same microphone as the N. After the HN, the U was introduced, which was all black in color, the body and the grill, and featured an XLR connector for the first time. There were variants 4 and 5 that were simply to denote the clip's thread size, 4 for Europe and 5 for the US market. Finally, we get to the newcomer, the MD421 Mark II, released in 2002. This model introduced manufacturing changes which were supposed to make the microphone more economical to produce. However, many say that the changes drastically changed the sound of the mic. While there's no doubt that the sound has changed, there are those that still have love for both of them. Our locker here has 4 versions of the mic, the N, the HN, the U5, and the latest version, the Mark II. We'll include another mic in our listening as well, something that I found to be kind of obscure. So this is a shout out to Bark over at Obscure Mike's channel. If you're into mics that are off the beaten path, rare, or just plain strange, check out the Obscure Mike's channel, link in the description. I've been watching him for a long time now, and he never ceases to amaze me with some of the mics that he finds, and he gets right to the point, unlike some of us that feel the need to talk for days. Who wrote this? Anyway, so some years ago I came across an odd but somewhat familiar mic in the used bin at my local music store. It looked like an old Sennheiser MD21, however, it wasn't marked as such, and the grill isn't the same, although it does match a variant that Sennheiser made for another brand, Grundig, the GDM 121. However, this has something different. While the MD21 and that 121 are omnidirectional mics, this mic seems to be cardioid. In basic tests, the pickup pattern is definitely focused in the front of the mic, as we'll see. Could this have been the real precursor to the MD421? This mic is branded as an MC1, and I've reached out to Sennheiser to see if they have any information on this mic. Hopefully they're better at returning emails than Austrian Audio. After researching the Sennheiser product line, the only MC1 I was able to find was a mic cable that would have fit this mic. I have a feeling that the MC stands for microphone cardioid, but this is just a guess based on the MD standing for microphone dynamic. Either way, we'll give it a test ride since I have very little information and I doubt it's ever going to get to see its own video. This is an all-metal body with a European stand thread size connector. Makes me wonder if the 421 couldn't have done something similar with a connector on the bottom instead of the quick release clip. Anyway, the cutout on the back is uncannily similar to the back of the older 421s. Let's take a listen to the different versions on guitar and tom, since that's what most people know these mics for. But first, let's do a quick vocal test. 421N, 421N, 0 degrees on axis, 90 degrees off axis, 180 degrees off axis, and back to 0 degrees on axis. 421 HN, 421 HN, 0 degrees on axis, 90 degrees off axis, 180 degrees off axis, and back to 0 degrees. 421U, 421U, 0 degrees on axis, 90 degrees off axis, 180 degrees off axis, and back to 0 degrees on axis. 421 Mark II, 421 Mark II, 0 degrees on axis, 90 degrees off axis, 180 degrees off axis, and back to 0 degrees on axis. MC1, MC1, 0 degrees on axis, 90 degrees off axis, 180 degrees off axis, 0 degrees on axis. So what are your thoughts on old versus new? I certainly have my preferences. I do kind of like the newer versions on toms and the older on guitar cabs. Yes, I just gave an opinion. Call it caving to peer pressure. I'm worried about these mics though, because a lot of the really old ones are just falling apart. The Delrin material that was used originally wasn't really meant to hold up for 60 plus years, and even the ones that are taken care of properly are degrading through no fault of their owners. Mine are kept in a temperature and humidity controlled environment, and one of them just started to crack in the past year or so. Please leave me some feedback. Tell me your thoughts. While you're at it, please hit the like and subscribe button if you got anything from today's video so we can continue to bring you videos every week or so. And hit that notify button if you're interested in being notified when we put up a new video. Well, that's it for this time. This is Pags, signing off.